thank you for stopping by again. Today we look at, you see behind me, we're looking at vegetation. We're looking at the ecosystem, climate, temperature, rainfall, but we're looking at vegetation specifically today. Alright, so this is what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at the world as it is divided up into different sections. Alright, in between 7th grade and 9th grade geography, you learn that the world have roughly about 3 different zones, right? You learn that you have the temperate zone, the tropical zone, and the polar zone. I might not say that them in order, right? We know that the polar zone are extremely cold, such as Alaska and Greenland, right? We also know that the temperate zone is that zone within our world where in which they experience seasonal variation, right? And then you have the tropical zone, right? The tropical zone is that area that exists just around the equator, right? From about 0 to about 40-45 degrees north and south of the equator. It depends on where you go or who you discuss it with. They might say the variation differs. Alright, so today we're looking at vegetation, right? Now we have different vegetation in the world, throughout the world, and vegetation is grouped according to the climatic zone in which they actually fall in. Now we are looking at the equatorial climate. We are looking at the equatorial vegetation system. So here we already looked at soils, right? And we know that soils is heavily influenced by climate, weather, right? We know that it depends on where you are in the world that you might have different types of soil. For example, you have Latazal soil in the Caribbean region, and you have Podzol soil in sections of Europe where you have snowfall and you have different climatic conditions. Today we're looking at CSEC CXC vegetation as related to the syllabus. Now the syllabus requires that you look at, we look at, both the teachers and the students look at forest and grassland. We're going to start off with forest. We're going to talk about something that we are familiar with, as you can see behind me, right? We're going to talk about tropical rainforest first. We're going to go into the characteristics, and we're going to be looking at the different layers. But bear with me a little bit before we start. The Caribbean vegetation, which is predominantly base of the climatic situation, it has over 40% of the world's plant. Wow. 40% of the world plants and animal species. That means within the tropics area, the tropical region area, it has roughly 40% of the world's vegetation, plant species, and animals. In addition, it's important for you to note that the tropical rainforest tropical rainforest, right? It only accounts for 5% of land surface on planet Earth, right? So it has 40% of the world's plants species, but it only covers 5% of the surface of land. Wow, on planet Earth. Now, tropical rainforest is found both to the both ends of the north and south of the equator, right? So you have the equator line, and you have just above the equator line, like you're going up, you have the tropical rainforest, and below it you also have tropical rainforest. Now tropical rainforest can be found throughout the Caribbean in places such as Cuba, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, sections of West Africa and Central America, along with South America. Tropical rainforest is characterized by high temperature and regular heavy rainfall. So that's one of the reasons why you have so many rivers within the tropics, because you have so much rainfall. You have a high volume of rainfall, so the watersheds are there and the ground is fully saturated, and the table, the water table are being overfill, so therefore as a result you have a lot of springs, streams and rivers flowing throughout the Caribbean. But we are not looking at rivers today. Before we go any further, we have to look at climograph, right? A climograph is an instrument or a graph that is used so as to highlight the variation in temperature and rainfall within a specific period, and in a specific area. You normally on a climograph you have the temperature at the top of the graph, and the rainfall volume is measured and calculated and presented at the base. At the end of this presentation, you will be asked a few questions, one of which will be to actually interpret climograph as presented. Okay, so let's go into the meat of the matter today. As we look at tropical rainforest, we look at its characteristics. Okay, cool. So let us start. Plants are unique within the tropical rainforest, right? You have different layers of trees within the tropical rainforest. You have plants going, well, you have trees going up to 60 feet up into the air, right? In the tropical rainforest. Imagine that. It is like a six floor apartment. That's a tree, one single tree. Six floors up in the air, right? You have trees as tall as that. In addition, you have, in addition to this information, I should say, you have the rainforest trees actually divided up into sections. So we'll be going into sections, and we start off with what you call, so the emergent layer of tropical rainforest tree is usually comprised of the tallest trees within the rainforest, right? Now these trees, as I said before, go up to 60 feet in height. These trees normally go up to 60 feet in height, and they should be able to withstand heat and wind, right? There's not much living creatures within this section of the rainforest tree, emergent layer that is, because it's very windy and it's very hot, right? Animals tend to reside in areas where you have a little bit more, cooler temperature, and it's not that. So you won't find much snakes and monkeys and birds. Now that we have looked at the emergent layer, let's just look at the other layer. We have what you call the canopy layer. Now the canopy layer within a rainforest is that body of tree that is right below the tallest tree, and you have an extensive layer of tree toppings, or should I say broad tree tops, right? Like what you see, well, behind me, those are like maca bush, so I can't be saying that these are examples, right? But probably you might be seeing it on screen right now, right? These are canopy layers of tree, right? Now in this layer of tree, you have several animals. You have birds, you have snakes, animals such as monkeys, sloth. These animals live within this area. It's much cooler than in the emergent layer. These are about an average of about probably 50 to 60 feet in height. So the emergent layer is the tallest layer, and then you have the canopy layer. After the canopy layer, then you have what you call the lower tree layer. Now the lower tree layers are like smaller trees, similar trees in nature to that of the canopy layer, but it is smaller, meaning that it is much lower, right? And this is found right below the canopy layer. And what happened is that these trees are like they are in, I call it now, stasis. It's as if they're in a slow motion growth, because the canopy layer is so widely spread across the entire forest itself. It kind of prevents sunshine from actually penetrating further down, even to touch the ground of the forest floor, right? So what you find is that beneath the canopy layer it's very dark. So these trees, what you call it, the lower tree layer, they go very slowly. What they do, they wait on a tree to actually fall. A tree fall for different reasons, and then now you will see competition towards the opening, towards the light that is up in the sky. Remember, plants need sunlight to do what you call photosynthesis, which allows it to grow. Without sunlight, plants will not grow. So with the sunlight coming in because a tree has fallen, what you find is that you find some trees actually bend as if it's bending that way. Hey, I'm going towards the sun, I'm going towards the sun. So you find competition, and the tree that reaches there first, that's a tree that is actually going to stay there. And the rest of the tree, although they're going towards the sunshine, that's just it. They just have to stop that way until another tree actually fall. And even the trees over on the other side, you see the tree actually bending to go on the other side towards the sunlight. So therefore, it's a lot of competition within the tropical rainforest for sunshine. Now, within this layer of trees, you find a lot of birds, a lot of snakes, monkeys, and other animals that actually live and feed and, socialize within this space. The lower tree layer do not have a canopy layer, right? Trees are just growing like, spring. They're growing determined on how much sunshine they actually get. They actually go towards the sunshine. The next layer is the shrub layer. Shrub layer grows between 5 to 10 feet, or sometimes 15 feet in height, right? Now, the shrub layer, as I say, shrub, is very short. These trees does not experience much sunshine, so therefore their growth is very slow, like slow. Below the shrub layer, you have what you call the ground layer. Now, the ground layer, this is funny, people. Now, remember I said that vegetation in rainforest is determined on temperature and rainfall. Now, rain actually falls every day within a tropical rainforest, right? But regardless of how much rain falls, because there's no sunlight touching the ground, you find that the plant litter, the tree leaves or branches or whatever, dead animals, whatever, don't decay that fast on the ground because the sun is not there to actually do its work. So as a result, you find that plant litter is constantly on the surface of the forest floor. It's very low, between 0 to about, probably about 0 to about 4 feet in height. It's totally covered, shady. A lot of water is there that actually keeps it alive, but sunshine is very, very small. Join me in the next class in which I look at the characteristics of the trees that exist within the tropical rainforest. They are practically unique, as the ultimate thing for a rainforest tree is survival. Thank you for stopping by, and attend the questions at the end of this video. Check to see how smart you are. Everything I've said in this video will be tested